Hello there. Have you ever led with a smile while silently second guessing every move behind the scenes? Listen, if you have, know that you're not alone because doubt is one of the most common unspoken parts of leadership and also one of the most paralyzing. But what if it wasn't something to avoid, but something to actually learn from? In this episode of Transformation Station, we're getting honest about fear, hesitation, and uncertainty that sometimes lives behind even the most comfortable titles. And we're also going to talk about how to move from stuck to steady, from overthinking to owning your own voice. So come on, tune in. Let's enjoy this episode of Transformation Station. Welcome to Transformation Station, where we unpack real leadership, resilience, and what it means to lead with both courage and authenticity. I'm Adrienne Benton, your host, coach, and fellow leader, and someone who knows firsthand that sustained leadership is rarely polished publicly and privately. Today's episode is called From Doubt to Direction. This indeed is truly a vital conversation. Why is that, you may ask? Well, let me tell you. It's because too many of us have been taught that we need to power through or fake it till you make it type of leadership rather than living through it. So we're going to get real today. We're going to acknowledge the fact that doubt, it's not a weakness. It is not a flaw, and it is not a sign that you are unqualified. It's a sign that you care. It's a signal that something matters and you just don't want to mess it up. But here's the catch. If doubt is left unprocessed, doubt doesn't just pause progress, but it will paralyze it. So today we're going to talk about how to lead with doubt, not just despite it. Before we dive in, I also want to remind you that each week, right here in Transformation Station, you're going to hear solo episodes, interviews with amazing leaders, personal stories, and you will receive powerful tools that you can actually use. Not just information, but here in Transformation Station, we focus on just that, transformation. I want to invite you right now. Tell us where you're watching from. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and in the chat. Are you watching from Italy, Spain, Germany, California, South Africa, or maybe today you're joining us from Bermuda? That's right. In the chat, go ahead and shout out your country. We want to know. And finally, go ahead and like, love, subscribe, and share this episode. I know for a fact that there is at least one leader that you know that is wrestling through doubt as they're trying to lead. So go ahead and share the audio podcast or go ahead and share the video. Either way, share it so that we can build our Transformation Station community. All right, listen, I'm so excited about this episode. Did I say excited? I'm thrilled. Why? Because in this episode, we have an amazing guest. She's an amazing leader. And let me just tell you a little bit about her before we bring her on the stage. Her name is Dr. Kendra-Lee Pearman. Dr. Kendra-Lee Pearman is the founder of Refresh Health and Wellness Ministry and Center on the island of Bermuda. She's a passionate neuropathic doctor, health educator, and health coach. With over 30 years of personal holistic living and a decade of professional experience, she empowers others through her Refresh method, anchored in 8 pillars for sustainable faith-centered wellness. As an international speaker and certified nutritional counselor, she has led wellness workshops across Bermuda and abroad, both online and in person. A devoted wife, mother, grandmother, and woman of faith, Dr. Pearman is committed to helping others renew their energy and restore balance through a whole person approach to health. At this time, it is my honor to welcome to Transformation Station community, Dr. Pearman. Welcome to the Transformation Station Leadership Podcast.
Thank you so much, Adrian, for having me. I'm so excited to be here because I love that word transformation. Because
Yes.
what I do now as a naturopathic doctor is help clients transform their unhealthiness to
Mm,
healthy living. So I
mm.
love that word transformation.
Absolutely. Those of you who are watching right now, this is going to be an amazing real time, real life discussion. So I want to invite you right now, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on the replay, to go ahead and share this session because Dr. Pearman is going to share some amazing gems that we can use right now. Okay,
Yes.
so Dr. Pearman, this particular episode is talking about going from doubt to direction. We're talking
Mm,
to we're talking to the leader who maybe is a brand new leader, just getting started, and naturally they're going to be filled with some anxiety as they're taking their feet and they're getting started in this new role. We're also talking to leaders who've been in their leadership roles 10 years, 15 years.
yes.
Kind of midway. And even though, from a certain perspective, the thought is, well, I should know by now, doubt still has a way of seeping in. And we're also talking to the seasoned leader, the leader who has been
Mm,
for 20 plus years. Doubt still has an opportunity to come in, but we don't want doubt to take control. So we're going to have this vital conversation. Now, I was doing a little bit of research and I was looking into how doubt shows up in leadership. And one of the things
mm.
I found in my research is this quote: doubt shows up in leadership more often than we think. Hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Hmm.
Um, that, just to say that resonates with me because, I worked in leadership for over 20 years.
Hmm.
And, academic settings, I've worked in nonprofit settings, I've worked in hospital or Klingo settings in my
Hmm.
country. And as a leader, you have that doubt and it kind of sort of shows up and you don't always recognize it for what it is. But it's that second guessing. Did I make the
Hmm.
right decision? Did I make the right call? Did I hire the right person?
Hmm.
I'm standing up for something. Am I standing up for the right thing? Is this a time to be quiet? Is this a time to speak up? Are my higher ups, are they feeling me right now?
Yes.
Or do they want to get rid of me right now?
Hmm.
So doubt shows up in so many different places. Do my staff respect me?
Hmm.
When I'm leading out, do the other leaders get what I'm saying? Or
Hmm.
am I just the voice making a whole lot of noise? So
Hmm.
throughout my 20 plus years, um, I've experienced that doubt on a regular basis. And
Hmm.
sometimes it can be very paralyzing.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, we want to spend a few moments just kind of talking about the high stakes of leadership in general. We understand
Mhm.
that leadership all by itself, leader, right? It's demanding. It is a demanding role. Why? Because leaders are expected to set the vision. We are
Yes.
expected to make high impact decisions. We
Hmm.
are expected to manage conflict. We are expected to simultaneously foster growth. Woo! We are
Yeah,
expected to also foster and provide room for innovation. That's a lot, doctor.
absolutely. It is.
That
And
is a
one thing that I've learned is that not everybody is a leader.
mm,
And so people may have the leadership title, but they don't have the leadership skills. And so
skills.
I have been in the past a part of,
Mm,
teaching leaders to become leaders
mhm,
and trying to teach them the requisite skill set that
mhm,
leaders require. However, not everyone can learn those skills because they're not natural leaders. And
Mm,
sometimes we try to force people into leadership positions
mm,
because they've been there, their tenure has been there for a long time. Well, they
mm,
deserve the next level. However, they don't have the skill set. They don't have the aptitude. They don't have the personality. They don't have the respect,
mm,
really. And so you're kind of putting someone in a leadership position who's really
mm,
not a leader. Yeah, they
mercy.
normally say leaders are born, right?
Mhm,
And some
mhm,
people we try to make them, but I
mhm,
believe leaders are born. You're born with that tenacity, that ability to actually
mhm.
lead.
So going off of that, we understand then that the cumulative weight of leadership at times can take a heavy toll on a leader's mental, physical, and
Hmm.
emotional health.
Hmm.
And that's where
Absolutely.
doubt many times has the opportunity when we give it space to do the most damage
Yes.
physiologically, mentally,
Mm.
emotionally, right? So I'm going to ask you, Dr. Pearman, can you describe a time when doubt may have shaped your leadership, a time or a season, and how you were able to move from doubt to direction?
You know, I went through a time where I was transitioning from being employed in a nonprofit space, and I made the decision that it wasn't a good fit for a myriad of reasons. And where I was as a leader was someone who wanted to grow the staff, develop, and take us to the next level. But I recognized that that's not what they wanted. They wanted someone to just pretty much just push the paper. That wasn't me. I'm an innovative. I like to learn. I like to develop and grow. And so I had to make a decision. Do I stay or do I leave? And I made the decision to resign. And, it was kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do with myself? And so I was in that space of doubting. I knew that I had leadership qualities. I've had so many assessments. But I also recognized that my assertiveness and my ability to stand on things was not always popular. And so I kind of made a decision that I don't think I really want to work for anyone else again. I need to be myself. And so I was in that space of, people were asking me, are you looking for another job? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, no, I'm actually not. But I spent a lot of time in prayer, like, Lord, you created me this way to be strong and to be assertive. And of course, you want that to be led by the Holy Spirit, right? But my personality was a strong one, and I knew and understood that not everybody could take that, right? I said what I said, I stood on what I believed. And so I was praying about it, Lord, what do you want me to do? And he said, you know what? I want you to work for yourself. And I had done this years before,
Mhm,
but my children were younger, etc. But I'm like, Lord, like I'm transitioning now. Like now I'm doing doctor of naturopathy. Like who's going to listen to me? Like, I'm new. This is something different from what I've been doing all this time. Like, Lord, who's going to listen to me? And so
mhm,
it was a moment of doubting and like really wondering, like, am I going to be able to feed myself
mhm.
with
Yes,
this, right? But then
yes.
God reminded me, like, whatever I've begun in you, I will complete it.
Mercy. Yeah.
And I hung on to his promises, and so that is what really helped to stir me in a place so that, okay, now I'm going from being employed to being not employed, now to being an employer, employing myself, right? But
Yes.
it was that faith and trust that
Mm,
I had to dig into that to see
mm.
myself come through the doubt.
Yes, yes, I love
Yeah.
that. You who are watching right now, if you are resonating with what Dr. Pearman said, go ahead and put in your chat your own experience.
Hmm.
Share with us how
Mm.
you have been able to move from doubt to direction, and or maybe if you're struggling with that right now, put in the chat what the struggle is. Listen, we are a
Yes.
community. You and we support one another. I love that, Dr. Pearman, your faith and your trust. you were able to capitalize on that, utilize
Yeah.
it, allow the Lord to utilize it to move you from festering, staying in doubt, and moving towards direction, receiving clarity, and moving forward. That is
Yes.
powerful. So we want to talk just for a few minutes. We want to pull back the curtain on
Hmm.
something that most leaders won't say out loud. And here's what most of them won't say out loud. Doubt doesn't disappear just because you get promoted. It evolves.
Yes.
Woo!
That's a deep one.
Doubt
That's a
doesn't
deep
disappear
one.
just because you get promoted. Listen, for me, I am in the career that I'm in now. Every 4 or 5 years, we have the opportunity to get promoted, and you love
Hmm.
it. When you see your name on the list, you're so happy,
Yes.
right? And you understand that with that promotion comes greater responsibility. But let me tell you, on the day that you get promoted, you put that new college device on your uniform. Guess what?
Yes.
As you walk outside, all people know is that now you have that rank. They don't know that you just put it on. And they don't.
Mm.
And
Yes.
over and over again in these seasons, I have seen where I got promoted, I'm excited, and now I'm saying, uh-oh, wait a minute. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. How am I supposed to answer? How am I supposed to function? I mean, yeah, the previous rank in some ways they were experiences that prepared me, but
Hmm.
now this is it.
Yes. It's a real thing now.
It's a real thing.
Now
It's
you
a
got
real
to perform, right? The expectation is there.
mm-hmm.
And
That's right.
so that is where, the doubt comes in again. Can I really do this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, sometimes I wish I was just back where I was, where I didn't have a greater responsibility, right? Because the higher you go up the chain, the more responsibility, the more
Yes.
expectations are set, and the more
Yes.
people look to you to be able to
Yes.
deliver on that.
Yes.
And so that
Yes.
can be quite daunting within itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you question yourself, can I do this? Can I lead these people? If it's people, can I
Mm-hmm.
lead these programs, this project, whatever it is that people are now relying on you to deliver?
Mm-hmm.
And the doubt
Serious.
comes in, can I deliver?
I deliver.
Can I deliver? Right. And
Deliver.
I just want to say this. This is something that I got from you, and I use it all the time. You say, God, I can, but you
Hey,
can. So please
yes.
do. And I
Please
use
do.
this all the time. I got this from you.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
when that doubt would come in for me, I would go right back to that. God, I
Mhm,
can, but you can. So
mhm,
please do, you
mhm,
know?
mhm.
And when God, he equips you, right? When he calls you, he's going to equip you. And so if
Yes.
he's led you to this place, he's the one that's going to keep you. I had a
Yes.
girlfriend of mine, a close friend of mine. She sent me a message today, and it was just so, I said, you have no idea what I'm going to be doing today, talking about this broadcast, right?
Yes.
And she
Yes.
sent me this message, and I'm just going to share it really quickly. And she just said, it's so amazing to see how God is working through you and how
Mm,
you kept going, not giving up despite the challenges. She says,
mm,
I'm so proud of you, Cam. And
mhm,
I said, like, tears came to my eyes because I'm like,
mm,
you don't know what you're going to say. I said, but God laid that upon your heart to
mhm,
write that to me this morning
mm.
because I was going to be here.
Yes.
I had no idea that this is where it's going to be today. But it was
Yes.
so encouraging for her to see how God is working. And that's why I love that quote from you. God, I
Mm,
can, but
can't.
you can. So
Yes.
please do.
Yes.
Please
Hands up.
do.
Please
Yes,
do.
please do.
Mm. And it's wonderful to know that he always wants to.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness, I love it. So as we
Yes.
look at doubt, sometimes doubt stays hidden. And I did a little research to look at where doubt
Mhm.
hides and where doubt
Mm.
shows up in leadership, right? Because we're talking about being able to name it so we can actually process through it, right? Sometimes
Yes. Hmm.
doubt will hide in the decisions that we make. Sometimes doubt hides when we are silent, when we really should be saying something. It
Hmm.
hides
Hmm.
in our hesitation to actually process through or execute a task, but it's there. And I want you to know,
Yes.
those of you who are watching, you need to understand that doubt shows up in even the most capable leaders, the leaders that you deem to be brilliant, those that you admire,
Yes.
the ones who seem to be the most accomplished. Doubt is universal. So there's no shame to it. but we have to name it. Because when
Yes.
we name it, then we take power away from it. I'm going to say that again for somebody who's watching.
Yes.
When you name that doubt, you name this is what it is, you take power away from it. It ceases to have a measure of control over you. So sometimes doubt shows up in the room where the things are actually happening. You're in a meeting,
Yes.
you have an idea, but you hesitate. Not because the idea is bad, but because you're afraid the idea is not perfect. Mm. I want you to remember
Yes.
this. You don't have to be the loudest in the room to offer the most value. You don't have to
Yes.
be the loudest in the room
Mm.
to offer the most value. Courage in leadership often looks like speaking up, even when your voice is shaking or your mouth is stammering.
That is
So
powerful.
we want to invite people, Dr. Pearman, to show up. Like just show up. You're there
You
for
know,
a reason. Yes,
that's
go ahead.
right. One of my truths that I've lived by, my epithet is to thine own self be true.
Yes.
And so if you don't show up for you, nobody else will.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't let your voice be heard, no one will know the brilliance that is
Mm-hmm.
behind you, right? And you think about a candle. If the candle is sitting there and you never light it, you never
Mercy.
see the light flow. It will never illuminate a room. I
Mm-hmm.
believe I use a lot of essential oils,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got bottles and bottles and bottles. But if I don't open the bottle, the aroma will never come out.
Never come
And
out.
if I don't choose to put that particular oil on my body where I need it, my
Mm-hmm.
body will never start to heal. I have
Mm-hmm.
to open the bottle. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like us as leaders. We have that sweet aroma that
Mm-hmm.
comes out. And when we are prayed up and we are going to God and Lord, you speak to me, speak through me, Lord. And you put me in this place. So
Yes.
use me. I'm not here to just sit here. I'm here
Mm-hmm.
because you put me here.
Yes.
So you give me what it is that you want me to say, to speak to,
Yes.
and he will. But if we
Mm.
never take the top off of the essential oil, we'll never smell the aroma.
I love it. What a powerful
Yeah.
illustration. Powerful illustration. Ooh, that is very powerful. Like that right there, you just need to sit and rest in it. Yeah.
Yes.
Ask yourself some reflective questions right now. Where in your life, mentally,
Mhm.
physically, emotionally, career, personal, are you not taking the lid off?
Yeah.
Are you
And
missing out on smelling the aroma, missing out from living life on purpose,
mhm.
missing out from courageous leadership, missing out from
Mm.
really in connection with those that you're leading, missing out?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
That is just, and it's a couple of things here I just want to share when you talked about that hesitation, right?
Mhm.
You know, we decide to serve, not impress. We're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And I say it all the time, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But if I'm not your cup of tea, go get a different cup of tea. What? I'm here to serve. I'm not here to impress you. I'm not here to make you feel like you have to respect everything I say or hang on every word I say. But I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve God. He's
Mhm.
called me to
Mhm.
serve. And whether you like me or you don't, that's not really
Mhm.
my issue. That's your
Mhm.
issue. But I'm
Mhm.
here to do what God has called me to do. And as a leader, he's called me to lead in this particular area in my life at this stage. And so I've
Yes.
got to do it. I've got to do
Yeah.
it.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that 1000%. Sometimes leadership also shows up in feedback loops. You get
Mm,
feedback and you spiral out of control. Why?
hmm.
Because instead of seeing the feedback as a gift, you hear it as
Yes.
information that you're not enough. I want
Yes.
to invite you, if you're watching this right now and this resonates with you, I want to invite you to get rid of that stinking thinking. That's what I call it.
Yes. Thinking. I
Now
like.
will start to give you you create all kind of stories in your mind, and people are not talking about you. They're trying to set you up for success, but all you see is failure from the out front. Why? Because you are listening and you're seeing things from a perspective of I am not enough. I want to remind
Mm,
you that feedback is informational. Feedback is not your identity.
that's right. That's right.
And
That,
resilient leaders translate
yeah,
feedback into growth, not
yes.
shame.
You know,
Mm,
it's so true. I remember I had one of my bosses, and she used to say all the time, feedback is a gift. And
yes.
I teach leadership. It's something that I do on the side. It's
Mhm,
not what I do full time anymore. But I remember, I used to. I don't like the word constructive criticism,
mhm,
because criticism always comes with that negative connotation. I prefer
mhm.
developmental opportunity,
Ooh.
right?
Oh,
And so
yes.
when you think about the feedback in your leadership, be it your leadership style, be it how you may have used your voice, maybe it's how you dug your heels in and others may have been offended. But when you get that developmental opportunity, if you see it as constructive criticism, it already puts the negative in the mind. Oh, they
Mm,
didn't like, or they didn't appreciate what I said. But if you get the words developmental opportunity, this is
mhm,
now for the betterment of you and those that you serve, right?
mhm.
Because you may not be able to see yourself. And I teach something called Johari window. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but
No, please.
Johari window is a full window pane. And
Mhm,
so it's really about emotional, and it's a part of, or I see it as a part of emotional intelligence. And so the first quadrant talks about, it's the common information, what you know about me, what I know about you.
mhm,
And then the right quadrant, top one, is what others know about you, but you don't know about yourself. And then the bottom left quadrant is what I know about myself, but what you don't know about me. And the bottom right quadrant is what no one knows. So, from a Johari window perspective, there are common things that you'll know. But then there are things that people may know about you that you may not know about yourself. For example, your tone of voice may offend most of the people. You may not be aware that it does that. But when you have the Johari window and you talk about things, the feedback comes that, Dr. Pearman, you may not realize that your voice kind of offends people because it's sharp and it's very assertive. And some of the team may not, they may be a little bit more sensitive. Well, I didn't know that, but your hurry window helped others to share that with me. And then there may be things about me that I know that you may not know. There may be some experiences that I went through that have shaped me to be who I am today. And as a result, this is how I may react, respond to certain things. But if once I share that with you, then you may be like, oh, okay, that makes so much sense. Now I understand why you're so passionate like that.
mm,
Now I understand why your voice may go up. You're not really shouting, you're just getting excited. But if
yes.
if 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 we're not sharing that, and that doesn't ever come up, then you'll have people that are you're offending that you don't know if no one brings it up. And then there are things about yourself that if you don't share, this is how you got here, then
Mhm,
people may be judging you in a way that's unfair, but they just don't
mhm.
know.
Ooh, that is
Yeah.
powerful. Jafari
Mm.
Window.
Johari window. Yes.
Yes, that self-awareness is so important.
That's self-awareness.
I have
Yes.
found over
Hmm.
the years that when you are self-aware, then that helps you to be able to provide true, authentic messaging to the world. And you know how
Absolutely.
to communicate who you are, what you need, as well as open space for
Hmm.
others to shine as well. And that leads me to this last principle, which is sometimes doubt shows up when we are comparing. Mm.
Ah, yes.
You scroll across LinkedIn, you see
Mm-hmm.
another leader's highlight reel, and suddenly you feel like, oh, my progressive is small. I'm not progressing. I don't have the
Mm.
skills, I don't have the videos, I don't have the this, I can't talk as well as, I don't have as many people liking and loving my stuff.
Hmm.
And oh my goodness.
Yes.
And
Yes.
one of the things that we want to remind ourselves is that leadership is not a race, it's a
No.
rhythm. Stay
Yes.
rooted in your lane. Your impact is not diminished by someone else's
Someone else's
ability.
identity.
There's
Yeah.
room for everybody to shine. What do you
And
think
that,
about this, doctor?
that is so true. Um, I think when people aren't secure in who they are, they see it as a race, a competition.
Mm,
And I remember I had someone, we were at the same level, and she saw me as her competitor. And I was like, I'm not your competitor. Like, I'm competing with myself. I'm developing, I'm growing because that's what I want to do for me. But it's
Mm,
not because I want to outshine you. But sometimes people don't get that. And so
mhm,
they're in this Duke competition,
mhm.
realizing that they're really in a competition with themselves. But if
Yes.
they could recognize, it isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And so, like I said earlier, I believe leaders are born. I
Mhm,
believe leadership is something that is innate in you, and then
mhm.
certain things can help to bring it out. And then there are many leaders that never get a leadership position. They're leaders, they're quiet, they're not looking for the promotion, but they're still
Mhm.
leaders, right?
Yes.
Because that's innate for them. And so when you think about, this is the lane that I'm in, and when you're happy and confident in who you are, you're okay staying in your lane. When you
Yes.
see people trying to get in your lane, that's because they're not confident in where they are. And
Yes.
so they see you shining. They don't like that because they want to be the one who shines. And
Mhm,
so I think when you are grounded and you're confident in who you are, who God made you to be, this
mhm.
position he's given to you,
Yes.
it's a terrible thing when people covet what someone
Mhm.
else has.
Mercy.
I mean, I've been following your journey for a long time, for years, and I
Mhm.
am so excited when you get to where you're going. But that's your lane. That's not my
Yeah.
lane. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I
Yes.
celebrate you getting to where you are.
Yes.
But not everybody does that.
Mhm,
And you talked about feedback being a gift, but I also believe talents are gifts. The
mhm,
word of God tells us about one got three, was it 5 talents, and another
mhm.
got two, and then another got one, and the one
Yeah.
that had one buried it, you know.
Mhm.
And so God has given us all talents and gifts that are bestowed upon us from Him. And so, whatever comes my way as we pray and ask God to guide and direct us, that's what He bestows upon us.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so we should never be envious or covet what someone else has, because that's what God has given to that person. And I think
Yes.
leadership involves you. You said no, being in your lane, but it's also accepting the gift from
Mm,
God and then
mhm.
using that gift. We don't want to bury it. We
That's
want to
right.
use the gift for His
Yeah.
glory, because
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, right?
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
1000%. So Dr. Pearman, we're going to talk now as far as like application, right?
Hmm.
Talked about doubt to direction, who we are as leaders, understanding our identity, having the
Hmm.
courage to operate in our lane, right? I want to ask you, what mindset or habit helped you shift from hesitation to decisive leadership?
Mm. That episode, to thine own self be true. I had to have that awareness that, you know what? I can teach others. I practice emotional intelligence. I do have something to say that can help someone else. And so I started to believe in myself instead of doubting myself and second guessing myself. It was, you know what, girl, God has blessed you, and rest in the blessings that He has given you, and stop second guessing yourself. If He's given you that ability to get out there and public speak, then go ahead and do it. It was something that I kind of sort of was like, I can't make videos. Like, what am I going to say? And who wants to listen to me? And then I had to rest in my lane and realize, but I do have something to say because God gave me something to say. And so whenever I question that, or whenever I have to speak publicly or on a video, I always say, God, what is it that you want me to say? What is it that you want me to present today? And sometimes my thoughts are what I think is changed because that's not what He wants me to talk about. And so when I sit there and I lay myself at Him and I say, okay, God, today I'm speaking about this. What is it that you want me to prepare? How do you want me to prepare? And He will do it.
Mm,
And so, I've learned to um, just trust me. Trust God first, but
Yes.
trust me because I
Mhm.
do have something valuable to say. And I get the feedback that, wow, Dr. Pearman, that was a fantastic presentation that you did, or I learned something that I didn't know before, or I really appreciate that you talked about this. And all I can say is praise God because that's him. He knows who the audience is. He knows who needs to hear something in particular. And when you sing and when you preach and when you prepare with God there, he may say, I want you to share this. And you're like, why? That's not even on my, but you go ahead. And then somebody in the audience, that's what they needed. And so when we trust God and then we trust ourselves, that makes all the difference in the world.
I love that. The habit of, and notice I said habit, because habit is what you
Hmm.
repeat, right?
Yes.
The habit of trusting God and trusting yourself. As we
Hmm.
trust God, God gives us that peace and gives us the ability to not allow doubt to have center stage
Yes.
or
Hmm.
priority. And then that brings in the peace, internal peace, right? As
Yes.
we're trusting God, then we learn to listen to our own voice, to come into connection with who we are, the passions, the calling, the
Hmm.
giftedness that is already inside of us. Another one of the thing when I was researching, like how do we shift from hesitation to decisive leadership, I was shown that one of the most powerful shifts a leader can make is moving from fear of being wrong mindset to a
Hmm.
bias for clarity and action. And this is what it looks like. Instead of saying, what if I make the wrong call?
Hmm.
Instead, say, what's the next right step I can take with what I know right now? Boom.
That's
What
powerful.
a
Yeah.
difference. And I think many times we walk through society because society many times is judgmental. We tend to
Absolutely.
come out first with, what if I make the right call? What if I don't say the right thing?
Hmm.
What if I don't have what if, instead of, wait a minute, what's the next right step I can take? Man, those of you who are watching right now, what would
Yes.
your day be like tomorrow if you went to work and you're leading your team and you
Hmm.
led your team from a perspective of, what's the next right step? What's the next right decision? What's the next right principle? What's the next right best practice? What's the next right? Woo!
Yeah.
Like, just putting those words in front of everything else, it totally changes the dynamics that you're working with.
When you speak positiveness in the atmosphere, right? And I don't believe in that, you send it out and you come back from that because we know who we believe in, right?
Mhm.
That's an almighty God. But when you recognize, when you spin it to something positive, when you tell her, it's that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? When a child hears you're not good enough, or you're never going to make it, and you replay that in your mind all the time, 9 times out of 10 you're not going to make it, right?
Mm.
As I taught in school for years and taught teachers to teach, and so that was one of the things that we said. So if you turn it and the positive mindset, you think of the little the caboose, the red caboose, I can, I can,
Yes.
I can. And
Yes.
even though he was slow, he made it to where he was going to go. We know that's a children's story, but it's the
Yes.
same principle when it comes to us. When you turn it on the positive side and say, I can do this. I
Mm.
remember when I was making my first set of videos for my business, and I was like, I am horrible. And my
Mm.
poor son, he was working with me, and he didn't want to say, Mom, you're horrible. But I knew I was horrible. And then, like, I just stopped. I said, you know what? I'm putting too much energy in this. I'm trying to be perfect because that's the perfectionistic side coming out. I'm not perfect
Mhm.
at this. Just keep
Mhm.
going. And so
Mhm.
one day probably after 5 takes, probably 10 maybe, I did
Mhm.
my first video on my own with my phone, and I sent
Mhm.
it to my son. And he says, oh, Mom, that's pretty good. I took the pressure off of trying to be perfect. I took the
Mm.
pressure off of trying to get every word and every line just so. Just
Mhm.
go ahead and be you,
Mhm.
right?
There's
Because
a
you
freedom that
are,
comes from
it was
that.
so much freedom that came with
Yes.
that. And,
Yes.
and when I sent it to him, he says, Mom, you actually did a pretty good job. So much better than before. I was like,
Yeah.
I did it, But sometimes you have to give yourself the grace,
Mhm.
right? to
Mm.
give yourself the grace to fall, to get back up again. Give
Yes.
yourself the grace that doubt may come, but then you just slough that away and say, you know what? I'm going to look at the positive side today. I'm not going to let doubt even have a space in my head.
Well, not
What is
even.
it that I can do better for. And then when
Mhm.
you make that, you turn that corner, because it's turning a corner, really. You turn the
Yeah.
corner and you realize, oh, wow, the sun is shining so brightly. If I had
Mhm.
stayed here, I would have never seen the sunshine.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? And so that's that turning that page to say, I'm going to turn off the doubt and I'm going to turn on, I can
Yes.
do it. The
I like that.
brilliance of what today is. Yeah.
I like that. Turn on, turn off. Turn off that
Yeah.
doubt. Turn on the brilliance of the day. Turn
That's
on the
right.
courage. Turn on the faith. Turn on the hope. I love that. So,
Mm.
one final question as we bring this to a close, right?
Hmm.
We understand from a human perspective, every leader is going to wrestle with doubt. Like we are human
Yes.
beings, right? You're
Hmm.
going to wrestle with it from time to time. Every leader, we're going to have inner questions like, am I doing enough? Am I who they really need? Am I on the right path? Like I
Yes.
believe that's just a question you as you get older, as you go to be sustainable, like that's a question that comes up over and over. Am I on the right path? Am I living out my purpose? Am I, right?
Mm.
But we want to remind everybody that real leaders, we don't wait to be finished products. We lead from the middle of our becoming.
Mm.
Wherever you are, you lead from there. As you
Yes.
continue to evolve, as you continue to grow, I share with my staff all the time. I don't need you to be perfect. I want you to be progressive. I invite you to
Mm.
be progressive. That means that as a team, we seek to keep on growing. So when the
Hmm.
mistakes happen, when there's something that we didn't meet the mark, everything is not over. All
Hmm.
right. We don't have to start from a place of judgment. We just stop to figure out where's the root. And now, how do we need to move forward? Because we're
Yes.
progressive. What a difference that makes. What
It
a
sure does.
hmm.
Because in the reality, you can't go backwards. So it doesn't make sense beating yourself up over something
Mm-hmm.
that did or happened. Like you can't go back and change that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I think great leadership will just say, okay, that
Mm-hmm.
didn't work out so great, but hey, here's the next step. And what can I
Yes.
do the next time to make it better or to go further or whatever it is that you're working on? Leaders don't crawl in a hole and just disappear.
No.
You can't do that. Um, some people may try to do that, and if they do, that means that's the end of their basically leadership career. If you can't show up
Mm-hmm.
even when things aren't the greatest, then you're really not a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's being able to recognize that everything's a snapshot in life.
Yes.
Today you take a picture of it, tomorrow is another day. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
sunset queen, right? Where I live, I overlook the water and I love the sunsets. And
Mm-hmm.
so every evening at sunset or just before sunset, I go out and I take a picture and I
Mm-hmm.
put some mostly on WhatsApp, right? But I just love the sunset. And
Mm-hmm.
but never is it 2 days the same. And so, today, if it's a cloudy and you can't see the sun, doesn't mean that tomorrow it's going to be cloudy and you're not going to see the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I go out with my phone, my camera, and even if it's a cloudy, I take a picture. And the
Yes.
next day I go out and it's a brilliant, beautiful orange pink sky.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Mm-hmm.
I decided to stay with the cloud, I'd never get to see the beautiful sunset the next day.
It's
And
beautiful.
so that is how we have to go through life. It's a snapshot in time. It's
Yes.
not going to stay in perpetuity. It's not going to be here forever.
No.
Tomorrow's a new day. Turn the
Yes.
page, you
Yes.
know? And
Yes.
and and that's how we have to live. And my motto is don't beat yourself up for what happened yesterday because you can't
Mm,
change it.
no, you
Just
can't.
learn and move forward and go to the next day.
Yes,
Mm,
absolutely. Absolutely. These are some really rich gems. And I like the fact that every day you do something that's human. Every day
mm,
you go out and you take time to look at the sunsets, right?
yes,
When you give yourself an opportunity to interact with nature, that is stimulating to your mind, to your
absolutely.
spirit. It's like medicine for the soul.
And it's so funny because when someone came to my home on Sabbath and they were like, "So where do you take your sunset pictures?" And I was like, "Oh, you pay attention?" So obviously she's watching, she's seeing them, right? She never said a word, we never had a conversation. And I
Mhm,
showed her where I go and I take them. And I explain the sun goes all the way over here. And because
mhm,
it's Sabbath was the 21st of September, June, now
mhm,
it's going to start making its way back this way. And they were like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, it only goes so far. And when the summer equinox comes, it's summer solstice comes, it goes back." And so
mhm,
she was amazed. I say, "Yeah, those are the things that I take note of." And so
mhm.
when you as leaders, you have to take notice of just even the shifts in your own self.
Mhm.
Because 10 years ago in leadership, you're not the same person today.
Not at all.
And
Not
20 years ago, you're not the same person today. And next year, you
mhm.
won't be the same person. Not if you're continuously growing and
Mm,
developing and even learning more about yourself and how you deal with things,
mhm.
right?
Important.
And as your
Yeah.
faith grows and as you grow and develop and as you become more self aware and you practice emotional intelligence, all of that helps to transform you, going back to that original word,
Yes.
into the best version of yourself at every step of the way. It's almost like perfection, a plant in the ground. At every
Yes.
stage, it's perfect. And
Yes.
so at every stage of leadership, we're perfect. We don't know
Yes.
everything, but every
Yes.
single day you learn something more.
Yes. Yes. Woo.
Mm,
What a valuable conversation this is. Again, those of you who are watching right now, I want to invite you again, don't keep this conversation to yourself. There are other
mm,
leaders where you could literally take this podcast, listen to it with them, or watch the video and then discuss. Because we're talking about how, as a community, we are able to, in real time, move from doubt to
mm.
direct. I want to leave you with this to everybody who's listening right now. As you continue to grow yourself in trust and in faith, I want to invite you as a leader to stay grounded in your values. This is
Yes.
really important when we talk about moving from doubt to direction. Stay grounded in your
Mm.
values. Even if the path seems uncertain, your values will help to be like a compass to give you
Yes.
direction. It'll shine the light on the way that you are supposed to go. I want to remind you also to lead with transparency, not insecurity. Many
Hmm.
times we don't want to be vulnerable, but we can be vulnerable with appropriate boundaries. But you want the people that you lead, to know that you're real, that you're human,
Yes.
and that you're honest. I want to invite you to listen more deeply.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't know the answers because we're always talking. We're
Hmm.
always rushing and running. But when we stop and we pause, meditate, think, listen, many times
Yes.
what is uncertain becomes clear. Mm. Ask more
That's
questions.
powerful. Hmm.
Sometimes we don't ask enough questions. Invite other voices, the appropriate voices. God will show you who those are. But invite other voices to sometimes help you to be able to gain more clarity. And then finally, take brave, small
Small steps.
steps. Dr. Pearman, so many times we run, 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 and we try to consume a big bite. We try to take these large and do these
Hmm.
huge things, and we miss the small beginnings. Be
Yes.
brave, courageous, one day at a time, one step at a time. You
At a
don't have
time.
to know how the full plan is going to work out. You just need to know what's the next right move.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Dr. Pearman, this has been such valuable conversation. Is there a final thought that you would like to share or leave with our viewers today?
I just want to say to thine own self, be true. Like, be true to who you are. Trust yourself. Trust God first, and then trust yourself. You are a leader, and God has called you to be a leader. And so trust the process, the journey that you are on. Stay in your lane, and just know that when you order your steps according to Him, He will lead you so that you can lead others.
I love that.
Mm.
There are those who either have watched or are listening to this podcast now, and they may want to contact you for
Mhm,
resources, right? Your
mhm,
leadership resources, your holistic resource, neuropath resources. So,
mhm.
how could someone keep in touch with you?
So I have a website. It's www.refreshbda. Ooh, wait a minute. I don't go to it that often myself, so I always forget what it is. But Refresh Ministry BDA, that's what it is. Let me just go in. So I do have a website, and it is based on my naturopathic doctor practice, but it's refreshministrybda.com. But refresh has two S's.
Mhm.
Um, so it's refressh ministrybda.com. Also, I can be found on Facebook at Kendra-Lee Pearman, and also on Instagram at refresh.ministry, always with two S's for refresh. And so that is for my naturopathic practice that I
Mhm.
do here internationally. I have clients that are overseas as well as those that are on the island of Bermuda.
So I'm going to ask you one more time. Is www.refresh, refresh ministry,
Ministry BDA
BDA.com.
com. Mhm,
Okay, fantastic. There you go. We want to invite everybody we want to support Dr. Pearman. So please go to the website, www.refreshministrybda.com. Tag your friends, send them there as well, interact
mhm.
with the resources. It just may save your life. That's right.
Yes, that's right.
Oh man, this has been such an amazing conversation, Dr. Pearman. And again, we can't thank you enough for coming. I believe that a part two needs to happen. So
Okay.
forward to another invitation to join us here at Transformation Station. And please tell everyone in Bermuda we said hello.
Hello. For
Absolutely.
sure.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you for
very
having me.
much. All right. Well, listen, this is, again, has been really wonderful. I want to remind you of this one quote as we get ready to close. The best leaders aren't the ones with all the answers, but they're the ones who lead while learning, growing while guiding, and they stay present through uncertainty. What a powerful, powerful quote there. We've talked today about going from doubt to direction. I trust that this has been an amazing conversation for you. And if today's conversation hit home, if you've ever led with a polished exterior while hiding silent exhaustion, then just know this: you're not weak for being human. You're not strong enough. You are strong enough to continue to have courage to move that doubt out of the way and to move with clarity. I'd love to hear your story. We'd want to hear about how you as a leader have moved from doubt to direction. So tag me or DM me, share with me your biggest takeaway from this session with Dr. Pearman. And know that as you share with me, I will share your takeaway in a subsequent upcoming episode that we have. All right. There is a leader that you can have a discussion with and use this as a masterclass and as guiding principles for moving forward. So be sure to do that. Until next time, stay grounded, stay real, and keep on transforming.